and this is ham, gammon, all the same. So what we're going to do, easy ways of, it's a simple way of cooking it. What we're going to do first is we're going to make up a little bouillon, the water on boiling. Or alternatively, you can have cold water, immerse it in cold water and bring it to the boil and cook it. But one hint is bring the ham out of your fridge for about 45 minutes before you cook it. Because that way the temperature has risen in your ham more evenly. So as when you immerse it in the water, it's going to heat through all at the same time, and you don't get the outside of it overcooked and the inside of it cooked. Where if you start cooking it, it's very chilled in the middle, the bone takes a long time to retain the heat. And so now I'm going to do the bouillon. I have some water there. I have an onion. I'm going to stud it with some cloves. Later on, when we're finished cooking it, on the next video we will show you how to glaze it when it's totally cooked. Don't be afraid of putting in a little extra cloves. One of the things I say is that if you put in a few spices and a few things that go with your ham, you don't need salt because there's enough salt in the ham. But put in other little flavourings. We're putting the onion, studded with cloves. Put that in, that will cook away. Putting in 2 cinnamon sticks, 2 whole cinnamon sticks into the water, and a little bit of pepper. Just a little bit of cracked pepper into the water. Just you can add a bay leaf, you can add herb stocks, you can add anything you like, whatever you want to do to make up your bouillon. Just let it simmer for a while. While that's simmering, I'm going to show you what to do with the ham. The only thing you really have to do with the ham is here. This is the H-bone, as it's called. This is the joint of the hip. If you're getting a hip replacement, this is what you're getting. Right, but they would go right down to there. So basically, it's what you need to do is just mark it there. But what you should do is actually make sure that if you're at home or somewhere, ask the butcher to pre-do it for you, because they would have nice sharp knives and they do it in a few seconds for you and save you. But if it's at home and somebody gives you a gammon, ham, this is what you do. Just right in there. Make sure you have a nice sharp knife. And once again, say if you have a good knife, you won't cut yourself. Only blunt knives cut people because you have to put too much pressure on them. And what happens is this takes you all the way down to the joint of nearly out to the edge of the ham. Now, nice and clean as you can get it. That there, just ready to go in. What we will do is we'll just immerse this, and when it's fully cooked, there's a little bone here which will pop up, and we will break this and pull it. If it comes away easy, the ham is cooked. If it doesn't come away, leave it in there until it keeps cooking. That's just your sign that your ham is cooked. Okay, we'll talk to you. Just put this in now. Nice and easy. Carefully done. And have enough liquid to immerse the whole ham. Leave it there 20 minutes to the pound and 20 minutes for the bone. So depending on your weight, this is a 13-pound ham, so that's 260 minutes plus 20 minutes is 280 minutes. So we'll see it in 280 minutes time. Talk to you then. Okay, as I said to you, this is the bone. Just twist it, pull it, fully cooked. Once that slips out there, the ham is nice and solid. And here we go. Just all the different. I'm going to take off the skin, will just peel off nice and gently. Or if you want to take it all the way back to the meat itself, you can use a knife. But just if you're going to honey roast it like we are, you want to leave some of the fat on, just take off the skin by peeling it back. If you want to get the fat really firm, leave it in the fridge for a couple of hours and get it really hard. And the reason we're going to leave the fat on is we're going to mark it, score it, put some cloves in it, put some sugar on it, some honey, and most of all, what we're going to put on it first after we mark it is put some mustard on it. And the mustard will attract the sugar to stick to the fat. You must put something on the fat or dust it with corn flour something you must put on something that will help get the sugar to stick to the fat. Otherwise, when you bake it in the oven, it will just run off. Okay, come back to me in a minute when I get this ready. Some mustard. This is Dijon mustard. Some people like an English mustard, a really hot one. Me, I like a nice medium mustard. You can use French mustard or any of the grain mustards, any mustard you feel that you're comfortable with yourself. So just, there we go, just liberally put it on, because you want something that will stay on for the sugar to stick to. Make sure all the fat is covered. The grooves are there so you know where you're going. When it cooks out, you'll get the scoring marks come up. Now all the way around. There we go. Now, that's enough mustard for the sugar to stick to. Next thing is what we're going to do before we put the sugar on, we're going to put the cloves in. Once again, up to you individually, depending on how many you want to put onto it, or how much clove flavour you want in it. Clove is great to help use up in the fat. I have my mustard on. The white sugar now, what I'm using here, I'm using a dark brown soft sugar, and I'll tell you why I'm using this rather than demerara, because it will stick to the mustard, the little pat. The demerara, being grainy, will just run off. So I'm just using this one to pat it down, almost like flour. It'll pat down and over the cloves, and as it melts then it will stick to the mustard, which in turn will stick to the ham, and then some of it will run off onto the tray, you'll see later on, and we will baste the ham with the caramelized sugar as it comes off. So that's basically here. If you put honey on, what happens is the honey runs off, and you would have to put a dusting of corn flour or a light dusting of flour to hold the honey, to stop it from completely running off, so as you get some kind of a coating. Well, there we go, nicely on, well packed with sugar, and soft sugar is great. It holds tight, gives you a nice coating, and here we go. As you notice, I pat with this hand and I lift the sugar with this hand, so they don't get cross-contamination with the sugar.
Now, what temperature of...
This goes into a very hot oven, about 220. Because you want the sugar to burn very quickly. You don't, because if you're too slow in the oven, it will just melt and all run away. Really hot oven, you want it to caramelize quickly. Silicone paper. This is the same as if you buy a silicone mat, but you can buy the silicone paper. I know we're doing this all over the world, but here in Dublin we use McDonald's at Queen Street, which is the home of Dick Knives. And so any good knife company, if you go to them, they'll get you this. It's actually washable paper, easy to fold, put it away in your drawer when you're finished with it. And when all the sugar comes off here, it means that your tray is not burnt. You don't have to be scraping it, just wash it off on the paper. This is absolutely perfect for one of the most fabulous things I've ever found, silicone paper. Great. 221, 220 is perfect. So I'm just going to click this over to my oven. Just a quick entrance into the oven. No hanging about. This is a convection oven, so I would actually lose heat. As you see, it drops, but now it'll come straight back up again.
And do you want to maintain the 220 all through the cooking process, chef?
All the way through the cooking process, otherwise what you see, the ham is cooked. So all you're really doing is you're really crusting. Like you put a crust on a rack of lamb after it's partially cooked. Same with this here. You just simply put your crusting this here to add extra flavors. The mustard will cook to the ham, sugar will cook to the mustard, and we have it all ready. You see, temperature's come back up. 2 minutes it'll all be ready. And there, leave this in here. Depending on your oven, about 30 minutes should do it. Take it from there. Cooking so the sugar comes off, but baking into the fat because the mustard is holding it. Nice, beautiful colour coming up. 2 more minutes. In the kitchen, we can smell all the sugar burning. So it's time to raise our ham from the oven. Like you did. And we're going to take it off. I'm going to put it onto, what you can do, just get your sugars. See, because it's on the silicone, you can lift it up, get a nice pool of sugar, back over it. Soft sugar does this. I love working with soft sugar. Just you get a nice syrupy sugar. There we go, more of it. By using the silicone paper, you're not scraping on the tin. You get all the sugar, you're rebasing, putting all your sugar back onto your ham. Young David, who cleans up the trays, will be delighted. Alright, so there we go. Nicely done. Just going to leave that rest. In a few minutes I'm going to cut a few slices to show you the outcome of a lovely sugar-baked mustard ham. Welcome back. Now, as you see, we have a lovely baked ham. And all the sugars are nicely crusted on it. This you can take in, serve it at your table as a baked ham on its own, or with your turkey, whatever you'd like to do. Here we have the knives for carving. There's a choice of all sorts of things. In a classical kitchen, you will see this one. People have serrated edge knives in their kitchen. This is a long carving knife. This is a more modern style, slightly heavier, easier to grip. And these two are not really ham knives, they're carving knives. This is a multi-purpose carving knife with a safety grip on the handle, which takes you up from the board, where you're not going to beat your hand off the board when you're carving it, or it gives you room to get around different items. Okay. This is the old classical ham knife. This is called a Granton. Granton is very hard to find nowadays, but that is the